The first thing that I want to say to you is that you will not be sorry that you registered and went through boot camp with Paul. Paul is astounding. He is fantastic at what he does. He inspires, he motivates, but he is also so dialed in to all of the practical concerns that you're going to need in order to become a coach. I had such a wonderful experience in boot camp. He gives us everything that we need. The whole process is so well structured. There is so much support. Paul gives out an incredible amount, and he really knows his stuff. So if you have even just the slightest inclination that this might be for you, don't wait another second. This is not a paid ad. I swear I'm a real person, not an actor, but you won't be sorry. It is a wonderful experience and you won't regret it.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? Welcome to Mentor Monday. Mentor Monday is your weekly microdose of encouragement, inspiration, and miracle grow on your potential as a coach. Way to start a little bit late because, well, you know what I did? I was driving around earlier and enjoying my day. Thought, hey, we've got everything together for tonight and everything else. And you know what? I forgot something really important. I forgot my laptop inside of my wife's car, and she had gone the other direction. And then it dawned on me. So, you know what we ended up having to do? Starting a little bit late and all of this hustle. So, fortunately, I don't look too sweaty or too crazy or anything. But let's get this going since we're starting a little bit late. Let me say hello to everyone who's saying hello to me. There is Farah. Do me a huge favor, everybody who's on. Like this post, share it. If you've ever joined us on a Mentor Monday, you know I do not give you fluff. I give you stuff that can help you develop as a coach on the skill side, and I also give you stuff that can help you build your coaching practice and a thriving coaching practice at that. And so we're going to be trying to do that. Again, Daniel says it's all divine timing, I suppose, or I'm just a doofus. Probably more likely that I'm a doofus. But anyway, we just have it. The reality is this is the way life is. Sometimes it's messy, and sometimes you just got to figure out stuff. And sometimes you're going to show up 15 minutes late, and a lot of people are counting on you, and sometimes things just happen. Do me a huge favor. Like this post, share it, and let us know that you're here. Tell us where you're joining us from and what you're excited about and you feel life and momentum on. I'm really excited because we've got coaches who are launching coaching products, who are starting their coaching practices. There's a lot that's going on, and we have a boot camp that's coming up, not this weekend, but the following weekend, and I'll speak more about that in just a little bit. But let's jump into what we're talking about today. What are we talking about tonight? Well, we're starting a new series, and the new series is called The Vision-Led Coach. And tonight we're talking about the exponential power of vision. Let me say hello to a couple more people. Brian says, glad you made it. Glad you made it, Brian. Diane, who's joining us from South Carolina. There is Jennifer joining us from Maryland. Just making sure that I say hello to everybody who's saying hello to me. And if you would, jump in there. Let us know that you are here. Like this post and share it. I promise you it's going to be worth your time. This is a new series. We're going to be in this series for about 4 weeks, and it's all about vision. And really what I want to do is I want to set your life on fire in a good way, and I want to set your coaching career on fire and again, in an encouraging way. A couple more people. Amanda, who's saying hello to us from, it says Cameron Tate. Is that a place or is it Amanda? I'm not really sure. Sandy's joining us from New Jersey. I can use a new lens, waiting on impending snowstorm. Woo! Oh, no. We finally got rid of rain. Here's the craziest thing. We had rain. We never have rain. And we literally, it's a strange thing. Ever since I moved to California, I've off and on had dreams of tornadoes in California. I was a Southern boy, so we had those there. And what do you know is that there's tornadoes all over the place this past week. including like all of a sudden this crazy wind starts hitting and everything else. And I was like, that was crazy. And so this tornado touched down like on the street over from us. And we're all blessed that nothing was really destroyed except trees, and no one was hurt and their property wasn't damaged. So that was pretty amazing. So let's do this. Let's jump in. Again, what are we talking about? The vision-led coach. Why is it really important to be vision-led? Because, well, honestly, I find a lot of people accidentally do some of the things that they are doing in life. You ever had a conversation with someone, and I can think about conversations that I've had with individuals, and I'll usually start that conversation with, well, tell me your story. And people are like, well, what story? And I was like, well, your story. Well, where do you want me to start? I was like, hey, you can start anywhere that you want, but I want to hear your story. And so a lot of times people will tell their story, and if they tell it in the context of career or whatever, especially if I ask people, they'll tell me what they do for a living or whatever, and I'll say, tell me your story. How did you come into that career? And it's crazy because it's all of this different path and it's all of these different things. And you know what'll end up happening is that I'll find people who end up scratching their head and they're like, this is so weird. Like, I have no idea how I ended up here. I ended up here through obviously a bunch of different decisions and side doors and windows and cracks and different kinds of things. But I find this is true for a lot of people, that they're not really sure how they ended up in the place that they ended up. Now, I don't think that that's a problem if your life is amazing, because sometimes your life's just completely amazing and you almost can't take credit for it because you're like, dude, I made some bad decisions in life. I'm so glad that I didn't get what I was choosing back then. Sometimes there's grace on your life. Sometimes there's absolutely mercy on your life that you made some very bad decisions and it turned out amazing. But here's the thing. If I find people who look at their life and there's a little bit of unrest in them, if there is a little bit of dissatisfaction, if there's something in you that you're kind of like, this is what I want my life to look like. Because a lot of people will say, well, I never pictured my life would look like this. You know what that tells me? It tells me that when they were younger, maybe they were kids, maybe they were a 20-something, and they had a picture of what they thought their life was going to look like. Now, sometimes that can be a good thing because people had, maybe they had a bad upbringing, or they didn't have an ideal picture. You look back and you're like, well, that was really childish or whatever. But a lot of times people have massive dreams. They have massive pictures, and we would say a vision for their life. And a lot of times they're saying, well, my life is not what I pictured it would be like at all. And if your life is still in that place where you'd say, my life does not look like how I always envisioned it to be, pictured it to be, and you feel like there's more that you were supposed to live into, or you're currently, you know what that means? It means that there is more over there. And we need to be able to align our lives so that we can begin to live into that picture of what that life looks like. Let me just say hello to a couple of people. If you are saying hello to me, do that really quick. Jump in the chat. Tell us where you're joining us from, what you're excited about. Also, do me a huge favor. If you haven't already, like this post and share it. That tells people that we are doing a good job, and specifically tells Facebook and YouTube that we're doing a good job. So, having said all of that, let's talk about what vision actually is. So, what is vision? Well, here's what vision is. Vision is the preferred future that is in contrast to the way your life is or the way the world is right now. Because here's what I would say is that the vision of your life, obviously, what that means is that there's a preferred way that you would want to be living your life. And right now, there is a gap between that. There's a contrast between the life that you're living right now and what you would say is a preferred life, a better version of life, an upgraded version of life, or that I would say for most of you who are watching me tonight, you're called to coaching. And since you're called to coaching, since that's in your heart, then we can go as far as to say that your coaching career is supposed to actually alter and change the world because it's changing and altering people's lives. And when people's lives transform, the world transforms as a result of that. So you have a vision of the way that you believe that the world should look as a result of whatever it is that you're supposed to be doing. Now, let me add to that, that definition is that a vision is a clear mental picture of what could be. But it's not just that. It is fueled by the conviction that it must be. So you have a picture of what could be, but there is a conviction in your heart that's saying it must be and it must happen. I'm going to share a quote with you really quick. And it's this quote by Andy Stanley that says, everybody ends up somewhere. A few people end up there on purpose. Most people that you know are where they are in life, not because they were trying to get there on purpose, but because decisions were made for them, or they made decisions, or things kind of came at them. You know, after 2020, there was a lot of people who lost their jobs, some people who got downsized and their job never came back. And I remember meeting one of these individuals, and it was they'd been working in tech and everything else, and they'd been working in tech, and they were working with a private university. And when they got downsized, they called me and they're like, Paul, I don't really know what to do about this. And so we started processing it. And so, you know what I wanted to find out? I wanted to find out how they got there. What were the decisions that brought them to this place? Because what I wanted to do is I wanted to take account of their life, and I wanted them to do an accounting of their life so that they could understand what matters to them and what got them to the decision, so we could figure out what's most important and where should they be going. So I'm asking these questions, and then basically what they told me, and I was working for this university, and then they had like a student job. So I started working in this student job in tech there, and then another better student job opened up, and then a help desk job opened up, and then this next thing opened up, and then I got my degree, and then they offered me this. And so basically what this person had done is that they'd never really had to think about making decisions, because where they were at, it just seemed like, well, you know, I just did whatever made sense, and I just walked through whatever door was open to me. So that now, post 2020, when there was not a job there was a major loss, because really what had happened up to then is that, well, they had ended up somewhere, but they didn't end up where they were on purpose. And this was the first time in their life that they were having to really think about meaning and purpose in their life. And listen, this is after an investment in a university where they had been there something like 20 years. And this was the first time they were asking that question. And for each one of you, I want you to know that when you were younger, I'm sure it's still there, but when you were younger, there was a picture that you had that was a preferred existence. It was the picture of the future. It's what you envisioned. And listen, if your picture of your life right now does not look like what you had always pictured or what you are picturing currently, then there's something that you can do about it. You can absolutely get a vision for things now, and you can do something about it. But let me say this, is that you don't change your life by having simply a picture of the future. There's something different between the people who actually actualize. So the few people who end up there on purpose, there's something different about the people who end up there on purpose from the vast majority of people who just end up somewhere. And what is that? Well, here's another great quote by a great man. Martin Luther King Jr. said this. He says, I have a dream that one day, this is out of the Dream speech, one of the most famous speeches probably of all time and in humanity, was Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech. And what he did that day is he talks about a dream, but he used the word dream, but honestly, it was more than a dream. He shared a vision. And it was a vision that was actually very real for him. I think that when he wrote the speech, that he had moments where he closed his eyes and he said, this is where we are right now. And it's not okay where we are. It is not okay that we have a the law of the land or the branding of this company, of this country, or in the historical documents of this country that says that everyone is equal, but that's not actually how we live. What if we actually lived into the ideal that was etched in the very beginnings of this country? But no one had ever seen it before. And so I really believe that Martin Luther King Jr. closed his eyes and he would go to moments and he could picture what it would truly look like if everyone was treated equally. And so he started to paint this picture because I believe that people who live a life of purpose, on purpose, kind of purpose, on purpose with their vision, people who are truly visionary are able to close their eyes and they're able to see and experience life in that preferred existence. And you know what they do? They bring that reality into our reality. That's what's different between those people. Now, I think that people could actually learn from visionaries to start bringing that reality into our lives as well, to actually follow what they do and what makes them so radically different. Martin Luther King Jr. was a radically different person, because not only did he see something, I would dare to say that many of his speeches, his probably most famous speech, being the dream speech, that he said things that he wanted to see and that he had a vision for that probably most of those people who are in the room did not believe at first because they had not seen it. Here's what I believe. I believe that some 50 years later, that we go from segregation to an African American man in the White House. I believe this led to that. A vision of many of the images that he gave. I have a dream that one day black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I don't care what anybody thinks about politics or any of that other kind of nonsense and everything else. I believe that he saw it, and even though he didn't see it in his lifetime, we lived it because he desired to see it. I'm not saying that we have everything figured out in the world. We definitely are imperfect and all of those other kinds of things, but you have to admit, how do we go from segregation to an African American in the White House in less than one generation? And it's because of visionaries, but not just visionaries, not just dreamers, because he wasn't simply a dreamer. What was the difference? Well, here's the difference. Is it because people with vision aren't just simply dreamers? They are able to see something that other people can't see. He is a person who's able to see something that maybe not everybody else sees it. It doesn't matter that everybody else can't see it because he saw it a generation before anybody else could see it. But he didn't just dream it. There was something that took place. Here's the thing that took place is that I was saying a while ago that you can't just dream it, that there is a conviction that comes with it. They are convicted inside their personal beliefs, and it usually has moral implications. And so for him, it wasn't just simply, oh, I've got a vision board and I want this car and I want this house or whatever. No, I believe that there was moral implications. We could all agree there's moral implications, that there's something that rises up in the visionaries that say this is not okay and something has to be done about it. Is that there's a conviction that takes place in your heart, and it drives you to action and it drives you to do things. And in Martin Luther King Jr.'s life, it drove him to endure suffering and difficulty and everything else because he knew what he had seen. And for him, it was worth it to endure what he needed to endure to see it through. Here's the third thing, is that people with vision aren't just dreamers. They have convinced themselves about what they see. And they have convinced themselves, they are fully persuaded that this has to happen. Last thing is this, is that they are committed to giving their lives to it. I would dare say that most of us in our life, in our lives, most of the people who are going to be hearing my voice probably do not have as big of a dream, as much of an ambition, as much of a conviction, as much of a moral implication as Martin Luther King Jr. had. To suffer, to literally be jailed, to go through all of the things, threats, all of those other kinds of things. And what's the greatest threat? Like literally, I hope his life takes our excuses away, because he did that under threat. What's the worst thing that could happen to us for the dreams and ambitions in our life? Like, he's paved the way for so many people and taken excuses away from people like me to say, what's the worst thing that could happen? Somebody says no to your coaching practice. Oh, somebody doesn't like your Instagram post and they don't respond to it, it takes you a month or two longer or 3 months longer to get your coaching practice up, some people don't believe in what you're going for. I mean, really, seriously, it's a life that should convict us that we need to have a vision that's bigger than what we're living right now, and quit accidentally having these happy little accidents that show up in our life. But if we could take hold of what our purpose is and actually lean in and live into it. So how do we begin to do that? Well, vision itself has exponential power. And here's what it does for us. First of all, it gives significance to our present. How does it give significance to our present? Because when you have vision, everything that you do in your life suddenly has purpose. I hear parents every now and then complain because, well, their kids get to a certain age and they're not old enough to drive, but they've got a life going on. And I'll hear parents complain, all I am is an Uber for my kids. All they need me for is to drive them here, drive them to practice over here, drive them to school over here, drive them over to their friend's house over here. I'll be so glad when they get old enough and they can, and it's like this is a life that is insignificant if you can't see that what you're doing right now has any partnership with the purpose of the child who is in your life. People who complain about all I do is take care of kids, clean house, and change diapers. That's a person without purpose. That is a miserable life if that's the way that you look at it. As a dad, I believe that compared to most dads out there, I've changed more diapers than most dads that I know. Doesn't rival a mom, I know that, but I never had a problem with it. Not that I liked it. Bear in mind, I didn't like it, but I never had a problem with it. Because what I understood is that the pain had a purpose. The poop diapers serve a purpose. Because this person who's in front of me is not fully manifested, and they're not even close to what they will be. But in this moment, the best thing that I could do is to show up for them in a life and surround them with love and to surround them with security so that one day they will never, ever doubt who they are or have the confidence to go after. See, at a very young age, that's what I understood. Even when my kids were in my wife's belly and I would talk to them and I'd say, you're going to change the world. You're loved. You're beautiful. All of these things that I've always tried to surround my kids. Not that I've done it all perfectly, but understanding that everything that we do is to a greater purpose. And you know what ends up happening is that life can't help but to be significant when you understand that the things that you are doing and partnering with have a greater purpose. And you know what happens is that it allows the pain, it gives the pain a purpose. It makes it significant, because the reason why people feel so insignificant in their life is they really don't know how, in the choices that they make every day, that it's leading to something greater. Now, I can look at my children now, and I can say that, like many of you, it was all worth it. But when you're in the middle of it, and when you're in the middle of the crap and it's thick and it's up to your knees, you got to be reminded of what you're here for and what the vision is for. Some of you who are going to be called into great things are going to have to deal with adversity. You're going to have to confront your self-doubt. You're going to have to do things that you don't like doing sometimes. And you know what's going to actually make your life more significant and keep you in the game is that you have a vision of what that future is going to look like, and it makes you rise up and show up in a different way every day. Here's the next thing. Vision has exponential power because it creates motivation. How does it produce motivation? It produces motivation because suddenly you are taking control. Suddenly you are motivated because what you know you are doing matters. You're not allowing life to make choices for you and then you just show up somewhere. You have determined what due north is going to be, and you are going to take the steps towards those things in terms of due north. Let me give you an old Bible quote that many of you probably are very familiar with. And the Old English version of this says this: where there is no vision, the people cast off restraint. Well, what does that even mean? Well, here's what it means. I'll show you on a nice little whiteboard here. I'll help you understand what it means. Let's imagine this is you in life on this little boat here. And what happens presumably when you're on the boat? Well, when you're on the boat, well, presumably, what do we have going on here? Well, we've got water, right? And we got something else happening at times as well, is that we got wind blowing in at the boat and everything else. Well, what happens is that when the wind hits these sails, you know what ends up happening is that you start to drift and you're at the mercy of the wind. This is what I think most people are doing in their life, because they have not chartered due north. They have not decided on where they wanted to go. Now the wind seems to move them back and forth, and they're moved by everything that happens in life because they have not determined where they want to go. Now every wind and everything that kicks up, that brings in self-doubt and everything else, people are in and they're out. They're a roller coaster in their emotions, all kinds of things like that. Here's what vision does for you. Vision acts as a restraint. It literally anchors you. So when the wind blows, you know what happens on a good anchor? You might go this way, you might go that way, you might go back and forth a little bit. But you know what? You know where you're headed. You know what you're called to. You know what's significant. You know what matters. And you can let the wind come, and it might blow you a little bit, but it doesn't blow you off course because you know where you're headed. Difficulty, disappointment, frustration, surprises in life that you didn't think were going to happen might have a temporary blowback, but it's not going to take you away from what you really believe the purpose is, because you are restrained, you are convicted, you are locked in. Now, having said that, what we really have to have is a picture of what that life is supposed to look like. And this is what I would say is going to be all of your homework even tonight. We do use this old tool and as coaches called the wheel of life. And really what I always say, I'll usually start with kind of a question, is that what areas of your life are most important? But sometimes people will label it. And so you might have, my spouse, my children, you might say job, you might say money, you might say health, you might say your purpose, you might say spirituality. I don't know, all of these different things. Well, how we get a vision for life is really quite simple. Is that when you know what that vision for you and your spouse, what the vision for your children is supposed to look like, the vision for your spirituality, because I understand that we are multidimensional kinds of people. The vision for your career, the vision for your coaching practice, when you know what that is and you are convicted by that, when you can see it, when you can experience it and everything else, then it's really easy to look in your life and to be able to say, well, here's where I am in relation to what I believe is that ideal of 10 or whatever. But see, I don't think that most of us have thought so much about it because, if you know what that picture looks like, then today's pain and difficulty has a purpose. It means that when I have known and I have set that as due north and I have locked in conviction and I have committed myself and it has become a moral imperative in my life, now it's the vision is what it is. I have determined due north and this is where I'm going to head. So I can incur blowbacks and and I can stay connected to the vision. I can stay motivated to what I need to do today. I can stay committed to those things and I can stay encouraged because even if it was a difficult day, I know where I am in relation to the vision because the vision's always waking me up at night. It's like a child at night that, what it does is, like when a mother is pregnant, you're initially excited and you're like, oh, a pregnancy test. I remember when my wife gave me the pregnancy test for my birthday for Shiloh, our youngest. And she goes, here, open this bag. And I open it up and I was never so happy to have something that had been peed on and given to me. And I'm like, oh, I knew it. I knew you were going to have a baby or whatever, And so we're excited. You're initially excited. And you know what happens as the days and months progress is that, well, the body changes happen. And then, now you got hot flashes. And now you can't get cool enough. Now you can't get hot enough. Now things don't fit. Now there's things happening inside your body. There's cravings. There's tears. Why am I crying? Why am I laughing? Why am I crying and I'm laughing? And then you have to get weird pillows and you have to sleep in different things. And there's all of this stuff. Now I don't even want to go out of the house. So I understood all of those things as being the husband, vicariously walking alongside my wife and understanding all these things. But you know what you do the entire time? You don't say, oh, our life's falling apart because you're sweating and you don't want to be and your clothes don't fit anymore. You know what you do is that you open up a baby book and you're like, how far along are we right now? And I look at the picture and you're like, the baby's the size of a grape. The baby's the size of an orange. The baby this, the baby that. You know what you do? You name the baby. You start buying cribs. You start decorating the room. You do all of those things because we understand that these are normal occurrences and processes that lead you to having a baby. And the baby is the vision, and the picture allows you to partner, stay motivated, stay encouraged, do everything that you need to do because you're having a baby. And this is what vision does to us. See, vision has exponential power because what it'll ultimately do is it will empower you to say no to the things that you are not supposed to be doing. It's going to give you focus and direction, and there's going to be no more drifting because now you are anchored. And it's also going to make you stop taking your life so lightly. Vision's going to cause you to be more productive. And here's the thing that I see from people who are truly visionary is that people who are visionary get more things done, and people who are visionary also get bigger things done than the people who do not have vision. What I'm hoping at the end of this thing is that not only are you re-engaged with your purpose, not only are you excited, not only do you find momentum and all of those other kinds of things, I hope that the people in the next few weeks who are listening to me and going through this process, I hope at the end you get bigger things done and you accomplish more and you set a bigger calling and purpose for your life than what you're living into right now. For some of you, what that's going to do is, well, you got to start. You're listening to me, you probably have been thinking about getting trained and certified as a coach for many years. You've been Googling it and everything else. Listen, if you've Googled getting coach, becoming a coach more than 2 times, you're in a place of procrastination and you need to do something about it. Now, Life Coach Training Institute, We are not just a training school. I know we got training in the name. We're not just that. That's where most schools start and end. They don't have an ambition past that. If you go on most coach training websites, it's a lot of convoluted processes and a lot of stuff. And for most of you, you know, when you went to school, it didn't prepare you for the real world. It did not help you get started. It did not actually put money in your pocket. And some of you are probably wondering, like, why did I get this degree and I never used it? Why did I go through this certificate program and never use it? We're going to make sure that you don't do that. Here's what I understand. When I finished coach training school, I had no idea how to get a client. We're trying to deal with that total issue because I don't want you buried under debt. It's why we've chosen to be a school that is affordable, because I'm not going to shortchange you on your education and your training, but I'm also not going to give you a certificate that makes you think that, oh, I got the certificate now and now the door's being beaten down and all these people. No, there's a process and there's steps, right? There's a vision you've got to have for that, and you got to be consistent in it. So our Jumpstart program is the best thing that I can say is the most affordable option that we have been helping thousands of coaches over the years not only get trained and certified, but start their coaching practices. And it's only $97 a month with a 3-month minimum commitment. Not a big deal when most certification programs are between $4,000 to $12,000. Now, for those of you who have not gotten trained and certified, there's a couple of different options. One is going to be this boot camp option that is not this weekend, but it's the following weekend. It's a weekend of February 23rd through the 25th. If you join Jumpstart for $97 a month, you're already registered in this. What are we going to be covering over that weekend? Well, what we're going to be covering that weekend is 7 powerful sessions. It's the exact same content that we give you in the Life Coach Certification course, but we do it over the course of a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Foundations of coaching, the anatomy of a dynamic coaching session, how to help your clients get extraordinary results, how to listen on a transformational level, how to ask powerful questions, how to establish a growing coaching practice. There are live coaching demos as a part of the weekend so that you can observe, you can coach, you can be coached, and there's live Q&As at the end of every one of those sessions. I make sure that there's a lot of bonus content, and we answer every one of the questions that you'll have over the course of the weekend. What's all included? Well, you get the 7 sessions with live Q&As and role playing. You get coaching tools, question samples, coaching agreement, and intake samples. We add to that a welcome pack that is completely brandable. We also give you a coaching tools starter kit, 5 powerful tools that can help people get transformation quick. You also earn your life coach certification. Yes, you get a certificate. You also get replays and handouts. You will also get invited to Tuesday night live training, and you get free audits for life. The cost for a boot camp is only $247. Now, one of 2 different things that you can do. If you don't think that you need any business development help, this is a way to go. We also have a $47 a month payment plan if you want to do that. You can click the link inside the description of this video and enroll in whatever you want. Best deal, though, because I believe that you should get the business development help, is our Jumpstart program, because you get trained and certified, and we also give you a business development roadmap. We give you the A to Z, start from nothing, brainstorming, all the way to launching coaching products. We have 6 total courses. The coaching product blueprint, we have a branding course. We walk you through all of the steps so that you don't have to figure out how to do it on your own. And we have an amazing group of brilliant people who support one another. And so you'll have access to all of those people. You'll be turning in assignments alongside those people. You'll also have those people that you get to engage with on Tuesday night training, but you have the Jumpstart people who they're going to be some of your best friends for your entire life. And they're in the trenches with you and will keep you encouraged and hold you accountable as you're taking steps forward. Again, this is the best deal in the entire industry. I know, because I was one of those coaches who spent thousands of dollars years ago, before it got as expensive as now, and didn't know how to get a client. And what we will allow you to do is not only get the skills and the competency that you need to be a great coach, but we're going to show you how to acquire clients. And that's the best gift that I believe that we can give you. And again, it's not going to put you in debt for the rest of your life. Anybody have any questions and would like to say hello? I'd love to say hello to you. There's Lee, who's joining us from Florida. Good to see you. Listen, I appreciate you guys all immensely. Thanks for joining me tonight. A new cohort of the Life Coach Certification course starts tomorrow. So it's a great time to get enrolled. We'll be in session 1 of the Life Coach Certification course on Tuesdays. Best deal, enroll in Jumpstart because you get access to everything. Self-paced course, the Tuesday night training, as well as boot camp. That's the best way to go, as well as being enrolled in all of the other courses. If you're just wanting to get trained and certified, hey, join us for boot camp. That's an amazing way to get started, knock out all your training in one weekend and get that certification over with, and let's get busy. We're just trying to give you the vehicle to help you accomplish what you're here on the planet to do. And we're honored to be able to walk alongside you. Listen, we're not just some internet school where you just print a certificate. We're very high touch. We're very engaged, and we know what we're doing. We've been really successful as coaches and building businesses, but we've also been very successful walking alongside coaches who maybe don't know where to start and have a lot of self-doubt. And we help you eliminate that self-doubt and, more importantly, get started. So listen, I appreciate you guys all immensely. Have a great rest of your week and take care.